Hello, I'm ibxtoycat and welcome back to Livestream Thursday. This is obviously not a real live stream, because, I mean, it could be one, but it's actually not. But instead, it's just a fun opportunity for me to replace the live stream with what I like to call, like, a live stream replacement Let's Play. These are fun opportunities for me to just play my Minecraft console world, which I do quite like, and talk about things which I want to talk about for around 40 to 50 minutes or so, like a live stream, but kind of not live. I think they're a lot of fun, a lot of people do too, and the reason I cannot be live streaming today, even though I might have been streaming on Tuesday, is because I am in Denver, Colorado, or I think as this video goes up, I might be somewhere else in, like, Missouri, maybe? But anyway, basically, I'm in the United States of the America, and I'm away from my setup. So, yeah, apologies about the lack of live stream, but instead it means I get to do something, which, again, like I said, I really do kind of like, which is talk, play Minecraft and talk about it, which is actually, I guess, the birthplace of this entire genre of, YouTube channel, right? Like, oh yeah, let's just play Minecraft and talk about what we're doing and maybe guide people as to how to survive. And suddenly, now it's like one of the biggest, I guess, genres of video game content I was going to say in the world, but I guess on YouTube has the exact same meaning. But let's say in the world just because I want to feel pretty fancy. In the world, and isn't that pretty darn cool? So yeah, I'm going to be doing that today in my Let's Play world. And the big task I wanted to kind of focus on, because have I implemented it? Yes, I have. The big task I wanted to focus on, also that was really cool, is actually the sugarcane farm. Because one of the things I noticed when I was there recently for a video on, bad piece of advice you'll actually hear, is I noticed a lot of the sugarcane wasn't planted yet. Like right over here, you can see there's a lot of sugarcane missing. Like right up there, a lot of the lower levels are just missing sugarcane. And this is one of those things I said I'd do, where I'd be like, oh yeah, let's go and make the sugarcane proper. But I didn't actually quite get around to doing it for a little bit of time, and I figured, if we're being kind of lazy about this, let's just do it today. Let's do it in this live stream replacement thingamajiggy. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. Like it if you like it, because helps out the channel a lot. Wife and kids, blah 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 blah, jet ski dream, etc. So with that said, I guess let's first start by talking about, I guess, where I am right now and why I'm there, because I'm in the United States of America and Denver, Colorado, etc. And you might be curious, just like, so Kat, why do you go to all these places? And honestly, some amount of it is just, like, I find it incredibly fun to travel, and I think I think it really is, like, a great opportunity to be like, yeah, I'm currently in one of the more flexible positions of my life. I'm very happy with that fact, and it means that if I want to just, go to, where I was, I was in Amsterdam Friday, and I think I was in Frankfurt a couple of weeks before that, then it's something I can just do for, that's a thing I really do quite enjoy doing. If you're curious as to how I do it, like, because you might be like, so Kat, are you a multi-millionaire? Is that the deal here? Are you, but with budget airlines and the affordability and, like, competition in, like, I guess, travel these days, it really is, like, astoundingly easy, to travel lots and lots of places on a pretty low budget. And because even the flight to America, like, with a real proper airline was, like, incredibly cheap, because cool stuff and competition and whatnot. But yeah, so you might be curious as like, so Kat, why do you travel so many places, and why Denver, Colorado? So in this particular case, I just really enjoy traveling. I'm really looking forward to the flight itself, as I record this actually, because I've got a Nintendo Switch now, and like, it really is just the flight-built console, so I'm looking forward to that in of itself. But the the reason I'm going in particular to Denver, besides just like, oh yeah, I enjoy it and it kind of works out, is I have a few videos planned that are very specific to not that place in particular, but the area, and you'll see those. You'll hopefully see those in the second channel at some point, because it's really weird actually, because again, travel was just something that I did for fun, and now it's like kind of like a full-on channel on the ibxtoycat place. So yeah, it's interesting, but you'll see some of the stuff that I wanted to kind of talk about and whatnot, and they required me to be there, sort of. Again, long story, but that is why I am in the Denver of the Colorado variety. I missed one of these bits of water as it turns out, or I didn't miss it, but like, there's a big stretch of not water there, which is a little bit concerning to me. But again, we can always go back and fix that later. So, yeah, there's the full story. Now you know it. And just in case you are curious, because I know to some people it looks really wacky that like, oh, it's like, how many places have you been in March so far? And I have to be like, oh, well, I guess it depends how you count it. But I think 3 or something like that. But it is just like, I guess, wacky life. Have a lot of fun with it. Very much enjoy it. Thank you, etc. All the stuff that, has to go in there. So, yeah, that's where I am out of the way. Let's next, by the way, let's next start by talking about, like, what I've been up to in the past couple of weeks, because, I've been very hectic and all over the place, as far as, like, my actual schedule, but I have been having a lot of fun making the videos and stuff as well, and also setting up and settling into the house, because this was the worst time for me to, like, book a bunch of stuff, travel-wise, because I did just move into the house, like, kind of by surprise when I came back from Switzerland. And you might be curious then as to like, oh, so you know, how's all of that stuff going? And the easy answer is like, I really am enjoying like the whole like, you know, space to myself to record videos in. Like, the only reason it's possible for me to, you know, make so many videos in between, because, you know, I'm still uploading twice a day regardless where I go. That's a big part, in my opinion, of like being able to travel and stuff, because it's like, yep, I made videos I'm really quite happy with. I think hopefully all of you are too, like over the next week or two. There's a lot of really good videos I'm looking forward to going out. And the only reason it's possible for me to make so many in such a, I guess, not a short amount of time, because it's the same amount of time, but the only reason it's been possible, despite the hectic schedule, is because I live by myself now. And it's really, I feel like, you know, everyone, when you're young, like let's call it 14 or 15, all you can think of is like, oh yeah, freedom's going to be the best, because I can have a giant party whenever I want to. I can come home at night and do this and that. And, you know, I feel like as you get slightly older, you realize, oh, there's so many downsides that come along with all those upsides. And then I realize, you know, like as I got even older, like there is just a peace of mind of like, you can't, you know, because, you know, now I make a lot of videos and stuff like that. Yes, videos. But, you know, there's like a peace of mind of knowing that, oh, I don't have to be interrupted if I don't want to be, or like, so that means I can record here, and like, I can stream it this time, and that bed is still occupied after all that time. I know I should break it and replace it, but I do quite like having the, you know, weird glitch bed if an occupied thing, because every now and then someone goes, ooh, Herobrine, and, you know, I don't like the Herobrine references at all, but if you want to believe it, sure, knock yourself out. I mean, not quite literally, although, you know, maybe you should. But anyway, staying on like the tiniest bit of focus. So yeah, moving into the new house, it's been really great. I really have enjoyed. It's been, you know, there's a lot of upsides, there's a lot of downsides. I feel like a lot of people focus on either one or the other. But I think, truth be told, living by yourself is like a weird. I feel like your responsibilities go up, but so do your, you know, like I guess the things you have to deal with on a daily basis. But if you value your time like I do, I think it's a nice enough trade-off. That's the kind of summary I'd give. I think if you are in the mental state of like, oh, well, if Toycat can move out, so can I. I don't know if anyone actually thinks like that. But in case that is you, I'd say, you know, I think really it comes down to like, if you can, then convince yourself it's good. And if you can't, then convince yourself it's bad. Like, you know what sucks? Bills. You have to pay them or your thing goes out. Oh, do you know what sucks? When your internet goes down and you gotta like, go and ring someone to make that all better. Or like, oh, looks like the water's not coming through, and now you're responsible. You know, there's a lot of downsides with the upsides, and that's that. But one of the things I found most interesting about the living by myself experience is the whole like buying lots of stuff that you don't really realize that you use on a daily basis in a house. Like, so for instance, today it just came in. I bought myself I guess you call them scales in a bathroom. I think that might just be a British term, but if it's not, you know, things to a device to measure yourself with, you know, weighing scales. I think they're called that elsewhere, but I haven't ever heard anyone else say it. So yeah, scales, weighing scales, a thing to like measure your weight. Measure your weight, not measure your mate. But yeah, anyway, those are something that I was like, oh yeah. Well, I didn't even realize that I was using those on not a daily basis, but like every 3 days or something like that, because, you know, gotta be informed on the numbers. You can't just be ignorant about yourself or whatever. But it's the sort of thing that you don't realize until way too late. Or like the rug, for instance. Like rug shopping is something. It's one of those, you know, surreal moments where you're like, wow, I'm actually shopping for a rug, and I have to go through all of this sort of stuff. And you know, actually, it was really funny that like as I was in the store, you know, to buy the rugs and stuff. Sorry, you know, as it was funny as I mentioned the story where I was in the store, you know, like feeling all the rugs on my face and being like, this one feels the best. A lot of people like took that and were like, I really would like that rug. I'm gonna go do it. And I saw a lot of people tweet me saying like, just went rug shopping and, you know, I'm gonna get the nicest rug ever. And it was really, really, really quite cool to me actually. I thought that was amazing that like so many people just had the realization too that like, yeah, you can just feel all the rugs at IKEA, and it's just it's one of those cool things where like, you know, something I say has some small impact on a few people everywhere, and that makes me feel really cool. And it reminds me of something that I think every YouTuber seems to forget at some point, that, you know, not to knock them, because, you know, YouTubers gotta eat food somehow, right? But a lot of YouTubers forget that like when you promote a product, so, you know, when you get a sponsored deal and you promote X or Y for how much money, you're kind of like, you know, you're putting your word to something, so you probably should be sure that it's good, or at least, you know, worth checking out in some way. And that's why, if you're curious, like I don't actually do as many brand deals as everyone else, because as a YouTuber, like it's been a very surreal world over the past some number of years, like let's call it like 5 years, where like suddenly, oh yeah, now there's like 1 billion companies that every day will offer like some absurd amount of money. Like I guess, I mean, absurd depends on where you're at in life, but let's just say like, 3 to 4, usually 4 digits, to like offer just to promote like some garbage random product, right? And if you look at a lot of YouTubers, you'll see they're promoting like random web services, like, oh yeah, go to appnana.com, or like go to this app reward service or something. And if you don't check out the service, or at least see that it's above board first, then it's kind of like a bad idea to see that. But yeah, that's a little behind the scenes peek into YouTube, by the way, that perhaps you didn't know before. There's a lot of like, I guess, marketing involved in stuff, but now at least it's like legally required to be disclosed and stuff. And I think when you add all of that in there, it's a bit more reasonable. But yeah, in case you're curious, like, so Toycat, what exactly, are you sponsored by IKEA? No, I'm not. And I realize because of how many people like actually care about what I have to say, it's one of those things that I feel like makes me realize, yeah, gotta be more careful with that stuff. Even if there's like a lot of money to be left on the table, I think it's important to care about what you recommend to anyone. And I think that goes for real life too, like even normal people. Like if you're just, you, well, assuming you are you, if you're representing someone, then I don't know. But, like whenever you recommend something to someone, a recommendation goes really strongly. Like a lot of the time, all I need is to like overhear someone telling someone else to be like, oh yeah, go to that place. And I'll think, I guess that place is pretty good. That's why reviews exist, by the way, so you can get real recommendations about a place. But yeah, like, it's a sort of thing that's, like, really powerful, and every time you recommend somewhere, you should be, like, at least somewhat sure about its quality, because, recommendations are how we get stuff done as a species, and also as a YouTube channel here, it seems, and it's important to value those. And that's a key lesson to learn from rugs and IKEA. Speaking of IKEA, by the way, I really, really love IKEA. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, might have even done it in the same episode as the rug, but, the idea of, like, everything about IKEA is, like, so beautifully put together, it just makes everyone else look bad by comparison. Like, it's a similar thing where, like, on YouTube, every now and then, there's, like, a YouTube channel that has editing that's so good that you're just like, wow, everything else sucks, just, by comparison to this amazing one thing, right? And, yeah, I really feel like it's kind of like that, but with IKEA, because you realize that every other store, so let's call it furniture stores or regular stores too, besides maybe supermarkets, really have no idea what they're doing. They just happen to be selling products, and people happen to be buying them. And because, when you look at, the design of an IKEA, it's, like, built so you see everything. It's built so you go past the cafeteria, associate, their furniture they're selling with the cheap food. It's like, even if you look at the products themselves, they put designers in there just to make them as easy as possible to assemble. There's like a billion steps involved in making, like an IKEA work. And it just makes you realize that when you go to any normal store, they just don't care about those things because they don't have to. And again, it's pretty nutty when you really think about it, because there's just no reason to. Like, so again, I'm going to actually name some examples where it's good. If you think about like a supermarket, so I'm mentally thinking of a Tesco right now in the UK, but if you're not in the UK, then picture a Walmart or a Safeway. I think I named some international brands there, and think about how like everything is laid out so that the things you usually need, they're near the start, but the things that but a lot of the stuff that you need on a semi-regular basis is right at the end. At least in my, local supermarket. It's actually a Sainsbury's now, because I moved. That's the thing I was just talking about. I live by myself in a house that's now somewhere different to the old place. But yeah, now a Sainsbury's is my local place, and all the, like, bread, sugar, all that sort of stuff, is the eggs, I think, too. They're all at the, like, literal opposite end. So I have to walk for a solid, like, 3 minutes probably 3 minutes, maybe 2, just to like get to the egg and milk and stuff, or the egg and bread and stuff, which, then you have to walk past so many other products, and you go past their displays where you see that, you can buy cake if you just, because it's half price or whatever. And, it's really, really cleverly designed, whereas there's a lot of stores that don't do that, and it just makes you realize sometimes that that's a weird thing. By the way, doesn't that look really cool through this? Like, that's my tunnel that's going to connect up the Nether to this place. I think that looks pretty darn cool, personally. So, anyway, staying a tiny bit on focus, at least, which I know, it's hard to do when you're Toycat and you're bouncing around, like, 12 subjects at once. But, yeah, I'm going to bounce off here, actually. And I'm going to go... Oh, look, the cat's still in the boat. And I'm going to go down a layer now. Because these layers down here, I think, are the next most important ones. Because I don't think I've done them yet, which is... Because really, honestly, the big thing about the sugarcane farm is now there's enough sugarcane that even if I spent all day harvesting with 8 people, by the time I was done harvesting it, it would have been fully regrown. So it's not about the sugarcane anymore, but I at least want the visibility of like it seeming like it's sugarcane everywhere. Because I feel like that is, that pretending you're doing something in a lot of situations is more important than doing something. It's kind of nuts that that's the case, but that's the reason that stores can just pretend, get away with doing what they're doing. Because as long as you think they care, then that's just as good as caring, right? Like, because in reality, like, all the random, so I don't want to say it like disparagingly, but fair trade and whatnot, right? So all these brands that are like, yeah, we're going to make sure the farmers are being paid right. The reason they sign up for those programs isn't because they care deeply, because companies can't care about human issues, etc. Because they're not people. They're like, long story short, but companies cannot care about individual issues because that's how they work. So the reason they sign up for these things, the reason Cadbury is in there, is because then you see it and you feel good about yourself because I'm supporting that. That's actually the same reason I believe that I forget which drinks brand it is, but they're owned by Coca-Cola. It might be Innocent Drinks in the UK, but because they're like marketing it the sort of like hippie person that's like, yeah man, I just believe in making everything all good, yeah. So that was a terrible example, but because they're bought by that sort of person, they say, oh yeah, 10% of the proceeds or whatever go to charity, and that sounds amazing on the surface. But then you realize, oh wait, 10% of profits. What does profit include? And it's the same way they actually I forget which film it was. It was probably Star Wars. They famously, because like some actors get paid like a percent of the profits, they'll put anything they can to make a film on paper unprofitable, even if it makes a lot of money. And it's a similar thing where like if you're paying someone a lot of your profits, well, why make a profit? Point being here, the reason I say all of that is pretending you care in a lot of situations is just as good as caring, and it's pretty nuts like the levels that can go to. But you just got to realize that in some cases that's what people want from you. So whenever your boss, whenever your boss is just like, oh yeah, you need to not be on your phone. They don't care that you're on your phone because you're using their time to do it. They care that if someone else sees that you're on your phone, then they'll think it's their responsibility. And again, it's weird that like everything works this way, but everything is just this giant chain of responsibility going somewhere or other, and people pretending that they care about the whole stuff. And it's something that I guess used to bug me when I was like in school and stuff, because like people would just make up reasons to be offended, I felt like. But as you grow up, you realize that as long as like most people pretend to care, and there's just one person that really does care, that adds up to just about the same result anyway, and it's kind of nice. So yeah, that's a thing right there. Anyway, well, I was talking about the scale I just bought, right? Because living by myself in a house, there's just random stuff every day that I realize, oh, I need one of those, or two of those, or three of those, or whatever number it is. And one of those things that I recently kind of came across. Also, we're making pretty good progress here, by the way. One of those things I recently kind of came across was, the scales, because I needed to weigh myself, because I feel like most people who care about fitness care about it on like this intense level, right? But for me, it's just like, I would like to eat, as much food as humanly possible, but I know that will make me weigh more, or be larger, or whatever. There are health consequences if you eat lots and lots of food. I think as humanity, we have discovered that at this point, right? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. But the reason I say that, right, it's not just me being like, oh, you want to know this crazy fun fact? It's because, do you weigh yourself? And if there's like a certain weight where I'm like, oh, need to then lose that. And there's a certain weight where I'm like, wow, I've lost so much weight, I can, just eat whatever I want for the next week or two. Such as when I go to America, going full circle now. Because in America, everything is just significantly less healthy. So you lose some weight to prepare for it, and then you come back, you've gained some weight, but you're back at your regular weight. Boom. So that's why you need scales. That's how I live my life. It's probably terrible for you to bounce up and down by I only know it in like imperial units, like a stone, or like 15 pounds, or like 5 or 7 kilograms or something like that. It's probably not good for you to bounce up and down so much, but if that's the price I pay to eat, 5 guys and a Slurpee, then, that's the price I pay, right? So, anyway, the reason I say all of that is because, basically, I needed some scales, and I was like, I'm going to go out and buy some of these. But the scales I actually ended up buying, because they were pretty nice looking ones for fairly cheap from Amazon, because Amazon is where I buy everything because it's very easy and it gets delivered all at once in a giant box. But yeah, the reason that I was so confused by it is because I bought these scales and I immediately pulled it out of the box and I saw the instruction manual and I was like, really? Do we need instructions for this? But yeah, every other time, whenever I see someone else not read the instructions, I mentally think like, really? They put those instructions in there and you're not really going to read them. Such as my plumber, for instance. He was recently, I forget what it was actually. It was something like kind of like important. Oh yeah, the bidet toilet seat, the Japanese toilet seat that I just bought. Like it fires water at you when you did it. Let's not talk too much about my toilet seat. But yeah, that's like it's actually kind of complex to install because you need electricity, you need water as well, and there's several steps to it. And it was just like, I can do this without the manual. And when you hear or see that, you just think like, really? That seems kind of silly. But yeah, me and the scales, I'll just put out the instruction manual and be like, what's that all about? And I realize the reason that I think that's okay is because some things only include instruction manuals for like liability purposes, and sometimes you really, really should read the instruction manual. Which makes me realize that what we should just do? We should have like a law where, or not law. We should have a law stopping so that you're not legally accountable if someone doesn't read your manual. And that way, all the important products that really want you to read their manual could just say something like, trust us, this time you really do want to read the manual. There's important stuff that will catch you out. And that way you don't have, again, like a half-installed bidet toilet seat. What is going on here, by the way? Black sheep. Is this how you live your life now? Fair enough. Anyway. Oh, that's bad. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to America in just it's Thursday as I record this, so is that 3 days? And one of the things I've learned more and more as I've done more and more flights is that I think there's this perfect zen in flying that I think a lot of people don't truly appreciate, because when you first go anywhere by plane, you think, oh geez, we're in this magic death box we can't escape for how many hours it is. With the giant death box, can't escape it, life is scary, etc., etc. And that's how most people just think about it. But I think, truth be told, is like flying is kind of like a liberating experience, because there's nothing that can hold you. There's no obligations you can have in the sky, because most planes don't have Wi-Fi. It's a thing that does exist, like, to some extent out there. It's not like there is no such thing as plane Wi-Fi. Oh, I missed it there, just over there. It's not that there's no such thing as plane Wi-Fi, but most planes, especially international ones, do not have, I was going to say like wireless fidelity to be fancy, but I know it's not that. But most planes don't have Wi-Fi, so there's no internet. So you can't respond to emails, you can't, goof off and browse the internet like for no good reason and just, distract yourself that way. There are no chores to do because, guess what? You don't have a house in that plane. And in reality, like, there's only so many tasks you can give yourself that are like full-on work and tricky to do. So most of the time you spend in a plane, it's just, this is nice. Let's sit and let's just think. And I think thinking is a really dangerous thing to do as humans, because this is so cool to me, by the way. Like, look at it. It appears and disappears. Thinking is like a dangerous thing to do as humans, I feel like, because sometimes, if you think too much, you'll go crazy and you'll think about how every bad person in your life has slighted you in just a little bit way. And I'll be honest, that happens to me sometimes. But I think some amount of thinking is really good, because in the same way I said in Monday's Let's Play episode that, sometimes you've got to learn how to learn something, and if you think about a really good idea and do that, rather than think about a bad idea and execute it poorly until it turns good, you're going to save a lot of time in that way. But I also think that there's a lot of, thinking that can actually be beneficial to you, like, what am I enjoying? What's happening right now? Why am I flying here? Like, you can ask yourself all the big questions that normally you don't get to ask, and, I think there's some important answers you can get from that. Like, because, truth be told, I'm sure everyone's heard of therapy or seen it in TV shows or whatever. This is the worst. Or whatever particular, way you've heard of therapy. But everyone has seen or heard the basic idea of therapy. But most of it is just talking to someone and, having that person kind of resolve some issues. Because, a lot of people, kind of lock down their issues. So if you just, instead of just, locking them down and being weird about it, if you, mentally ask yourself, oh yeah, are you okay with this? Oh yeah, what was that person all about? Is this person nice? Should I do that? You can, there's a lot of thinking you can do, but there's also just the idea of oh yeah, let's come up with ideas for what I'll do when I hit the ground, because I think pre-planning anything can make it a lot more enjoyable. Whether it's something as simple as, But I'm going to go mine some more off the trench. But yeah, where it's something as simple as, like, I really want to watch my phone, but I'm not going to. Where it's something as simple as, like, oh yeah, when I get down on the ground, I'm going to eat the biggest burrito humanity has ever seen. It's going to be a sushito, that's the thing I'm actually going to do, by the way. There's a place in Colorado that apparently fills burritos with sushi. I don't know how that works, but I'm going to give it a try. Or maybe they put burrito fillings in sushi. It's called sushito, but we'll find out, I guess. Like, if you just imagine these big things, when they happen, they're a lot cooler. Whereas if you just kind of, like, go through life accidentally because you're left on autopilot, I feel like you don't enjoy even the good things, which is why some people get left in these situations where everything that happens is, like, so surreal to them. But yet, it, even though the things are so surreal, it's, it doesn't matter because they just don't feel like they've accomplished, or they didn't really want any of this sort of stuff. Whereas if you actually go through the effort of, like, oh yeah, I would really like to do this, and then when it happens, it's like, wow, I did the thing I really wanted to do, and it feels good, right? I think anyone can agree that doing a thing you set out to do, it feels good. It's just implicitly, like, there's a part of you that goes, yeah, good job, Toycat, you did the thing you really wanted to do. Like, right now, I'm playing Minecraft and talking about my weighing scales and stuff, and it feels good, because this morning I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that, I'm going to, make a 40-minute Let's Play episode, because I realised, there's still a few videos I haven't recorded yet for, my trip, and I was like, yeah, that'll be a fun one to record, and it feels good now that I'm here because I'm doing that. But if I just hit record and was like, what should I do to Let's Play episode? Hello guys, it's the Let's Play 298. Is this on a Monday or a Thursday? Who knows? That's not as fun for me, and it's probably not as fun for all of you watching too, right? I mean, it's impossible for me as a YouTuber to ever have any idea whether the video I just made that I love or, hate or whatever is going to be loved or hated by the subscribers, because a lot of my favorite videos have actually done pretty terribly. Like, and a lot of my videos where I was like, oh, I'm not 100% sure on that one, have done amazingly and have gotten like 1 million views. And it's weird that YouTube works that way, and it's weird that, but yeah, everything works that way. But I think the truth is like objective good stuff is in the eye of the person watching, the eye of the audience, I guess. So yeah. Now you know, which is why I think a lot of people get trapped in this myth of like, oh yeah, because you see it in every entertainment genre where people think like we have to make this really, this. Oh wow, we lifted into the sky. We have to make this stuff that appeals only to the very smartest, top end people. But truth be told, there's a lot of like stupid TV show that's actually pretty darn good, because even though everyone wants to appeal to the very smartest and best people, sometimes that's not actually the best idea. Sometimes you can make good TV show by making bad TV shows, which sounds very counterintuitive, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. So I don't know why I ended up going back to my house, by the way. I assumed to empty my full 1 or 2 stacks or something, but I guess I did anyway. So another thing that I was pondering on recently while I was, again, opening my scales, just a solid... It was like 40 minutes ago, let's say, because I was, I got an Amazon delivery when I was just about to record this episode, and I was like, sure, let's open it. And ooh, it scales, and I got really focused on the idea of the whole thing. But one thing I realized about everything in my life that I like a lot, like the rug and, like these scales, because they're fancy. They, like, instantly turn on, and they're, like, accurate to, like, 1/10 of a pound or 1/10 of a kilogram, I guess 100 grams. Oops, should not have done that. So I have a confession to make. I accidentally hit the spacebar and stopped the recording and didn't realize till like minutes later, and it kind of hurts a little bit. But let's just try and hop back in and pretend nothing happened. Oh man, it's always the worst when like you stop recording, because you know that for the last like however long, like let's call it a minute, you were just a crazy person talking to yourself. That's all I was. I was just a madman talking to himself while playing Minecraft, and it's a bit weird when you remove the whole camera aspects or the capture card, because some people call it like recording or like filming, like they're recording like a documentary or something, and I've never been a big fan of that. I've always thought like, let's just admit, these are videos on the internet. This isn't, like I'm not filming a real thing. But yeah, anyway, basically it was recording, but it wasn't recording, and I fixed it now. But some amount of video this vanished. So if you're curious as to why the time of day changed or whatever, that is why. And I didn't get his bow, unfortunately. So, yeah, as well as what I was talking about before, I really like my scales, I think was where I cut off. They're really nice. They're accurate, etc. And you might think, how can you like scales so much? Especially scales that only cost, I think it was £13. So again, like, let's call that $17. I'm naming a different currency every time I convert, by the way. I hope you're all enjoying that. But yeah, basically, they're only like $13.99 on Amazon.co.uk. Fun fact, you can buy it using the links down below. That would be a good example of like a product placement, right? Like, these are scales I really do quite like. I'm never actually going to get like a proper deal with the scale company themselves, but I think if you actually, I'm not going to link it because let's leave this as a theoretical example for now. But like, if I did leave a link to it, I would make 5% on that purchase, and suddenly now Toycat can promote scales, and like everyone can get scales they like, and Toycat can be great. I think that would be a good example, and that's the kind of deal I try to stick with. Besides, besides like, oh yeah, well here's a game that I just have to play for a bit, and I'm going to show you and stuff. I feel like getting a good deal and like making sure that you don't just sell your subscribers is something that I've always tried to do as a YouTuber, and I feel like it's easy to see why people forget, but it's also something I value importantly. So yeah, I won't sell you out unless it's a product I really do quite like, because then it's not selling out. It's something you can all benefit from, because advertisement, like a lot of people see ads as like this really bad thing, this like enemy on the internet. Like I've seen so many people like say, oh yeah, I use this because they're just that bad. But truth be told, ads can be really good when they're done right. It's just sometimes they're really, really not done right, and that's why I think especially this is what I do personally. You take the charge on like making ads an acceptable, good thing, and you make sure they're always things that you actually care about or like, and then you get good stuff done. That's all I'm saying, and I guess hopefully you will appreciate that. So so I like my scales a lot, and I think the reason I like them so much is because compared to like they're nice scales, they look nice and etc. and they're cheap and blah, 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 blah. But I think what makes them great is the comparison to the scales I used to have back at my parents' house, or the scales they randomly had there. Because when you just, it goes back to the point I was making before of, like, you need the story behind something for it to be nice. So, like, in the same way that the thing I just mentioned of, like, oh, yeah, well, just going somewhere is kind of boring, or, like, even living this great thing. It's boring unless you planned it and there's this amazing story. In the same way, these scales are really amazing because, oh yeah, my old ones used to just randomly make weights, and no matter how much weight I, would like remove, like all my clothes and like this and that, they'd stick at the same like randomly accurate weight. So that was kind of weird. There's a bunch of issues with that old one that just make this one better. And I think, yeah, the story behind any item is what makes it amazing. And it's kind of weird that, stuff works that way, but it really is the way stuff works. Like, even if something as simple as like, oh yeah, well, if you go into some random museum somewhere, it's interesting, but then when you hear like, oh yeah, this is the story of how that was collected, it just makes things more interesting. I think there's a human tendency to love the story, to love the history of how something came about, or like to be fascinated at least in some way, and that's something I've always found to be very intriguing personally. But yeah, now that's what makes something great. If you ever have like done something amazing and it's felt terrible, maybe you need to like be more excited for it, which sounds like terrible advice on the surface, but like really, if you get excited about anything and you just think, oh yeah, when I do this thing it will be great, then just that mere act actually makes the thing more great. Which it was hard for me to ever get my head around that, because again, it seemed weird on the surface, but it is something that I think really does work, and it's the truth behind anything. Like, so for instance, if you want to go to Russia, because getting into Russia is quite a painful thing, but if you want to go to Russia, I feel like the fact that it's so hard to get in, because really, I don't think Russia wants UK nationals going into their country. Like, whereas most countries are like, oh yeah, tourist money, heck yeah. Russia's a bit more like, oh yes, you can come in, but first you must pay, this absurd fee. It's like £100-something, or like 140, or like 180 Canadian dollars. I'm just making up things at this point. So you pay like some very large amount of money. You then have to go to the embassy in person, and they take your passport for 5 days. I don't know why they take your passport for 5 days. I don't know if it's legal to just take someone's passport for some number of days, but they do. That's a part of the process of getting into Russia if you're a UK person. And then they take your biometrics, so your fingerprints, they take a picture of you, they take all this stuff, and then at some point, after they give back your passport, you might be given permission to go into the country. That is how getting into Russia works if you're from the UK. But the fact that you go through that process, and the fact that during it you're like, oh yeah, well, wouldn't it be cool if I was accepted? Because, have you seen how cool and crazy some of the buildings in Moscow are? Because, they look like they are in the TV shows and stuff. It's cool stuff, and yeah, I feel like in some way the hard process might make it more fun. And although it's gonna suck because I really don't want to give my passport away for 5 days because that's how I go places. It is one of those things where I just realized like, oh yeah, I guess maybe it will make the journey in the end more fun. So if I ever go to Russia, which I'm roughly planning to at some point, then I think it will be more fun. And I'll update you on this one actually when that happens. The cool thing about having a Let's Play that's been running for like 4 or 5 years is like you can like see some of my thoughts update as it goes along, right? And in this case, I guess I'll just promise to talk about Russia and how it went and whether I enjoy it more because they made it terrible to get in. Because, you know, truth be told, getting into most countries is a really, really easy task. I think the big exceptions are like the US. Yeah, the US is like the big exception because there's long lines and then there's like suspicious people. But like getting into most countries is just a matter of like, oh yeah, well, it looks like you're allowed to be in here. A man will look at your passport and say, yep, you are allowed to be here. And then he will let you in. It's it's actually kind of wonderful to me. The fact that some countries actually have the interview process where you have to speak to a man for several hours is like still kind of nuts to me when you think about it. Because like, what, you're going to interview me to allow me into your country? I mean, like it makes sense because it's not your country. It's someone else's. But it just seems kind of weird that like, oh yeah, these people that are known to like pour money into countries just for fun. Oh, we dug into our tunnel. I guess I can't destroy this bit, can I? Yeah, I guess I'll leave this floating. So I have to be very careful cutting around this, because this is the giant metro thing that goes from one side of the world to the other. Or actually, it's going to go further than that at some point. But yeah, it goes one side of the world to the other. But because it's dug in this awkward place that I'm now cutting through, I have to like be really careful what I do around that. So, oh yeah, you know what I'll just do? I'll leave the blocks below it floating, but I'll just dig out everything around it. So that sounds confusing, but let me show you what I mean. So this might look weird. It might actually look pretty cool though, like, you know, modern art or something. But I'm thinking all we have to do is dig below this thing. Yeah, and then so like this. Okay, so no lava, please. Thank you very much. And then we start digging up from this side. And hopefully, I don't know when we'll end up at something like real. Now if we just copy that over here. And then we should end up with this like floating place for the minecart to go. And although it should look really weird on paper, I think in practice... So, can we actually do this? Yeah, I think the in practice look of this thing is just it's like the, you know how minecarts float through ravines? It's a similar look to that actually, and I quite liked it at least. And you know what? My opinion is important in this matter because it's my build. Yeah, well it's not my. I guess I'm not even building anything right now. I'm destroying something, which is almost a bad habit to get into in Minecraft because it's so much fun to me. Just even, you know, this simple action of like let's destroy the blocks. Whenever you're done with it, it just feels good that like you've removed something from the world. Like I've made this giant trench. Why is there a giant trench? You know, why not, right? And oh, that's my answer to like a lot of stuff. It really is just one of those fun things to me. I think the way I put it, maybe I say this on Let's Play Monday, or maybe not. Most people like the craft in Minecraft. I personally quite like the mine. The reason I got so inspired when I first played it, because I've told the story a billion times, is because it felt like one of those mining games where you go below the ground and there's rare ores to find that can help you craft more stuff. It just feels good that you're shaping the world for your own desire, and some people enjoy shaping the world by being constructive about it, and I guess some people want to watch the world burn, and maybe I fall in that second category. Maybe I do. It seems that way anyway. So yeah, we're going to make ourselves some chests now, just for this cobblestone to go in, I think, because there's so much of it, like if we're being honest. And we'll put it nearby this lake. Yeah, this lake over here. So let's eat another pork chop. This lake right here will be like my resting point for my my cobblestone, because there's so much cobblestone in the world right now. I really don't need it all. Like I can pretend I do, but I don't. So we'll just put some chests right over here on this ledge. Sure, why not? Chest. And then if I want to do any more writing, because if you notice, the bottom right of my map says IBX. Then if I ever want to do more writing in cobblestone, I can just go to these chests and take it, because I feel like these chests will be full so quickly at the rate I'm mining right now. Because I've in my inventory just like time and time again. And it's good and it's fun and stuff, but it feels a bit weird just having so many of a block. Because I actually spoke to someone recently about Minecraft. I forget when or how, so sorry about the lack of details. But I was speaking to someone in Minecraft, and I was like, but when do you ever need cobblestone? And they were like, oh yeah, all the time, because you run out, because how often are you really mining? And it made me realise that, you know, two people can play the same game and have, like, entirely opposite experiences. And isn't that the magic of Minecraft? The fact that you can create your own story or something like that? I don't know, I feel like Minecraft is magic. I feel like Minecraft, I made a video on this, or two, maybe. I feel like Minecraft might be in the downwards side of this trend, but I think that, you know, what people see as the downwards side of Minecraft is really just Minecraft transitioning to something they're not familiar with, which is, you know, by and large, the Pocket Edition, because the Pocket Edition is a version of the game I don't generally enjoy too much. Like, I make videos every now and then when there's something interesting about it, but I haven't made the switch to, like, oh yeah, well, there's more views than that, let's switch over yet, because it just, to me, it isn't the same amount of fun. Like, the console edition is the version of Minecraft, to me at least, that, like, you know, I have my fun with, because it fits when I want to play Minecraft, you know, that's why and how I play it, and that's the big reason I haven't switched. So if you're curious, you watch these and you're like, so Cat, why did you play the console? You know, playing games on Android or iOS or whatever, it really, as someone, you know, maybe this is me being an old man, but like, it just isn't the same atmosphere as playing on a console or playing on a PC or whatever else. Because, you know, the device you play a game on really changes the game in a way a lot of people won't admit. I feel like, you know, when a game comes out on the PC, the Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox One, I don't know if that's happened yet. It probably has happened once, right? But when a game comes out on all three of those platforms, you might think, oh yeah, I'll play it on the one where it matters the most. But truth be told, there's like a billion factors you have to consider. And it's weird now that we live in this age of, like, if a game releases in lots of places, you have to really carefully consider, like, where you want to play it if you're being careful with it. It's strange stuff. It's strange stuff is what I'm saying. And it's something that I guess we've kind of realised. So I think we made some really good progress in today's video, because I did all that, I did all the sugarcane stuff. Hello there, friend. I did all the sugarcane stuff, which was kind of cool, right? I, like, that now it looks like it's full, because, you know, carrying is the only effort. I spoke about my rug again, and why sponsored deals are so important, and hopefully you understand where I come from, and why there are less sponsored deals here, and why when there is one, you know, it's nice if you support it rather than saying, oh, you did this once, as opposed to someone else that does it literally on a weekly basis. Yeah, when that happens, hopefully you understand why and when, and the fact that I do care. Hopefully, you know, you want to buy those scales, you can buy them at amazon.co.uk. Just £13.99. I don't know, I haven't even referenced the brand of them. I don't know the brand, honestly, so worst pretend sponsorship ever. And also, I figure before we end here, I just wanted to say have a nice week, because I'm hopefully having a pretty fun one myself, and I've honestly, this is lame to say, but I've been really, like, I guess just fulfilled and happy with life and stuff recently, and hopefully maybe someone can find that same headspace too, because it's been great. It's weird to be in this position, and I hope some of you find it too. Thank you very much for watching this live stream replacement Thursday thing. Like the video if you did like it, because it helps out the channel a lot. Let us know you do like the Minecraft. Again, this is like a Let's Play, but it's like super long and stuff. Share the video if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if subscribed, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!